If you're a pitcher who thinks that they should stop training during the season, you're actually opening yourself up to greater risk of injury and also a loss of velocity, and here's why. If you don't know me yet, my name is Carter Endisch. I'm a doctor of physical therapy student and current pitcher at Lewis University, and I help pitchers like you gain velocity and also stay healthy while doing it. One of the biggest misconceptions that I hear from both players and their parents is that they don't believe that in-season training would be beneficial for them because they think that off-season training is when you train and develop. But in reality, I think that in-season training is just as important, if not more important, than the off-season training is. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact reasons why that's not true, and on top of that, teach you a little bit about the process of programming for an in-season athlete. I actually don't really even feel the need to explain much about why it's so important to train in season, because you can really just look around and see how your peers and even yourself, you lose velocity throughout the season, you start to feel worse, your performance decreases, all of this happens and we wonder why. People will just chalk it up to your body deteriorating over time throughout a season, velocity's ticking down because of it, your stuff is less sharp. But instead of just chalking it up to being, oh, it's just because of the season, there's something that we can do about that. Not only is it possible to maintain all the strength and velocity numbers that you built throughout the offseason, it's actually possible that you gain throughout the season. The people out there who think that the off-season training and the in-season training need to be different are actually very correct. However, it's not a change in intensity, but it's rather a change in volume and load. So yes, people are correct when they say that athletes are overloaded when there's full training in season, but that's why there has to be a major change in exactly how things are programmed, which is where I come in. So it's a delicate balance. You're losing power and strength throughout a season, but you also can't add more load on top of your body. So again, the way that you combat this is by lowering the volume, but keeping the same intensity. So let's run through a quick example. Say that someone's lifting 4 days per week, and they have, let's say in general, around 5 sets of everything for 100% of their intensity. Instead, what we can do with them would be we can cut that down from 4 days to 3 days, and then cut their sets down, say from 5 to maybe 2 or 3 instead, and keep the same intensity. The reason for that is because you want to keep the ability to move that weight and create that force without adding on to the load too much. So because it's only 2 or 3 sets instead of 5, that load is drastically turned down. So basically what we're doing is we're touching the high intensities to be able to maintain our power levels without adding on too much load on top of what you're already doing during the season. However, just because the volume goes down does not decrease the importance of this training. The off-season training and in-season training are the exact same importance. This is not something that you can just skip, and it is very crucial to keeping the strength levels throughout weeks and months of a season. If you're competing against someone that actually knows how to train properly, and you're going 6 months of hard off-season training, followed by losing all of that in another 6 months of in-season without training, the person who's training the 12 months out of the year the correct way is going to beat you by a mile in the long run. The effects of the lack of programming during a season go far beyond just the strength and velocity numbers as well. It also goes directly with the health and basically how you feel throughout the season as well, especially with your arm. If you have too heavy of a throwing plan during the season, your arm's going to deteriorate really fast. But if you have too light of a throwing program, you're not going to be ready enough for your next outing. Also, if you had something like a long toss program that gained you a ton of velocity before the season started, and then you get into the season and you lose all that because you don't know how to actually program in the long toss into your week, you're going to lose all that velocity that you just gained as well. The only way to combat these possibilities is by leaving your program up to me, and then also daily communication with me to be able to say, hey, my arm's not feeling too great today, how can we adjust this? Or my arm feels great right now, what can we do to benefit off of this? Lastly, your range of motion and mobility overall throughout a season has been scientifically shown to decrease heavily throughout the season. According to this study right here, pitchers lost a significant amount of range of motion in their hips throughout the course of a season. So this is hip internal rotation, hip external rotation, on top of hip strength were all lost during the season, but the study also says that it's not even due to the pitching volume. This study actually showed that the loss of hip range of motion is actually being caused by a decrease in weight training throughout the season. If you didn't believe me before that in-season training is actually really crucial for both development and maintaining health, now I hope that you at least see that it's not just muscular power that's affected, it's actually the range of motion of everything. Maintaining and potentially even gaining on the ability to move properly, get into deep positions, be strong enough to get out of those deep positions, and also stay healthy while doing all that is really the key to being able to stay successful over the course of a very long and strenuous season. I'm going to give you a summary of exactly what you would get from an in-season program that would combat all of these issues. First, you would get a full lifting program, which would be fully adjusted to being in season so that you can maintain your power and strength while also not adding on too much load on top of that so you can stay healthy. On top of that, I would keep your throwing volume and intensities in check so that you're ready for your next outing, but you're not getting too strained throughout the week. And lastly, you get to keep all of your mobility by continuing to do daily correctives as well as your new strength training. If you want me to take away all the thoughts and worries about training both in season and out of season, DM me the word clean on Instagram and we can take a look and see if remote training is actually right for you. Don't lose everything that you just worked so hard to get during the off season by overlooking the importance of the in-season work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week when we talk about whether strength or mobility is more important for pitchers.